Hello, everybody. My name's James, and welcome to a very different Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents, or we should perhaps call it Clash of the EFL Correspondents, because I got the top two favourites in the championship on. Because in pre-season, the first thing I do is, when's my relegated correspondents got fixtures against each other? Oh, Southampton, Leicester in the international break. I'll have some of that. Let me introduce you to our Saints correspondent, Matt Samuel. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good man. And our Leicester City correspondent, Aaron Lagor's in. How are you, Aaron?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you.
Right, let's get the elephant out of the room, Matt. Leicester City Friday night. Bring back any memories, or
Don't go there.
we over this now?
As long as it's not raining, then I'll be all right.
I think it's predicted, mate.
Yep.
It's about 35 degrees outside at the moment, but apparently rain's coming for the
On
weekend,
Friday,
mate.
yeah.
Is that your excuse?
Yeah. Blame the rain.
You've played them at home 3 times since, and you haven't lost, right? So we're over this now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do you also get still really hacked off with the mention of it?
It's laughable now. It's history. Saints are used to doing that. So
All right. So I got a better statistic for you that I wanted to cover off, right? Which is this defeat at Sunderland. Firstly, why are you laughing?
yeah. Yeah.
How does a team, tell me, have 68% possession, get beat 5-0, and the opposition also missed 4 other big chances?
Yeah.
How does that happen? That's a hell of an intro.
Mentality. They hit us quick. 2 very quick goals, and I don't think the players knew what to do. I can't really put it on one particular player. It's unfair, but I don't think Mason Holgate should have started that game. He looked incredibly rusty at the back, and you know why? He's not really had any game time for Everton. He's come in, he's had to fill a slot. We've got injuries. Jack Stevens. Ideally, I think he probably should have just put Shea Charles back there. He had done in pre-season to cover centre back, but no, he gave Mason a run out, and he looked a bit lost with the system. Got caught out a few times, but he wasn't the only one. We went 2-0 down, and everybody's heads dropped. We're used to then coming back. Should have had a pen the other end. Wasn't given, and obviously there's no VAR. That could change things. But yeah, at that point, when Sunderland get their third, it's game over.
You prefer life without VAR?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is that go? Aaron's nodding massively as well. But I don't even need to answer the question. Okay, but obviously in your first format, 10 points, right? It's a decent start. And actually, probably if I'd said 10 points from the first 5, probably would have taken it. Actually,
10 goals as well.
Yeah, you've also conceded more goals than anybody else in the league, mate.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. That's it seems to be typical Russell Martin. Speaking to a few Swansea fans online and whatnot, it is very much that kind of basis. You expect goals, you expect possession, but you also expect to concede. There was a lot of people. I mean, I'm not playing Gaffer this season, but there was a lot of people messaging me pre-season saying, who do we expect to get in at the back? People were asking about Manning. People were asking about Stevens. My personal opinion was don't go anywhere near them because I'm not expecting to keep a clean sheet anytime soon. You'll expect 3-1s. You'll expect, we've seen the Norwich result 4-0 for crying out loud. It's going to be like that. It's the way we're going to play. We will get caught out. Walker Peters and Manning play very high lines at time, and there's quite a few times that the wingers have got in behind them. We're terrible at dealing with crosses. We always have been. Particularly set pieces. We've brought in another set piece coach this season. Hasn't made that much of a difference as of yet. I mean, give him time, but yeah, we're still conceding the same goals as we were last season. We're just scoring more. So
yeah, I see Bazunu's back in goal and he's still conceding plenty, right?
Yeah, although it's not fair to pin most of the goals on him. Like the Norwich game, for instance, 3 out of the 4, I don't think any one of our keepers would save him. I don't think he had much of a chance. There's been a couple, I think maybe 2 of them against Sunderland he could have done better with, but I'm not going to throw the blame at him just yet. I've saw people asking, for instance, for Lumley to come in. I don't think that's the answer.
I must profess that I've not seen any of you play. I saw a little bit of your game, Aaron, against Coventry when you were chasing the game week 1. But you also, Matt, you had 80% possession at Sheffield Wednesday on the first Friday night, won the game very late on. And I guess a lot of people who are interested in the EFL probably would have watched that game. Maybe some other people would not as well, because it was the first game of the season. That's madness.
Yeah,
80% possession. And a lot of the feedback that night was, yeah, but they're not doing anything with it. That was the feedback that I got.
Yeah. There were moments when you thought, all right, take that final touch, look up. And we did miss chances. I think Aduzi missed a couple of really good chances. Teller, obviously, whilst he was still with us, missed a couple. So it was frustrating, but you always felt that we had the edge. Sheffield Wednesday set up in a very defensive manner, just basically, to get that goal and try and hold on to it. But for the final 15, 20 minutes, we always thought we'd get the goal. And as soon as we did, I think they touched the ball 3 times in the last 11 minutes. So we knew how to kill a game. And that's not like Saints. We haven't done that in a long time.
Ryan Manning has completed so far this season half the passes of the Rotherham team far this season. To give you an indication of how much of the ball you have in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
Aaron, you had a disappointing result at home to Hull last time out, but I suppose it's similar, isn't it? If I'd have said to you 12 points before that Coventry game, you'd have been all over that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we needed to get off to a decent start, and we've probably not been at our best in the majority of the games, to be honest, but it's all about getting points on the board, isn't it? So, and you can build from there. So yeah, it's been a decent start in terms of results. There's a lot of improvement to come, I think.
What have you made of Enzo Maresca so far?
Yeah, very impressed. Very impressed. I think, it's easy to see someone like him come into the club and his reputation and stuff, and think it's all just going to go swimmingly and rosily. It's not as easy as that, and he's had to work with the players, some of the players that he's got, not knowing who's going to be there and who's not. He's only been in the job for about 8 weeks. He's done a lot in a short space of time. There's a long way to go, but the signs are good. Everything you hear about the players and the training methods and everything is really quite positive. So yeah, it seems like he's really impressed me so far. So
does he play? Is it consistently 4-3-3, or does that get mixed up a bit?
Yeah, it does. I think if you look at us maybe as we set up at the start of a game, it probably looks at like a 4-3-3, but it's very immovable in games. Like, I mean, Ricardo's been basically tucking inside, playing alongside Winks in possession. A little bit, I guess, in the Pep mold that Stones does to a degree, although he obviously does it from more of the centre-back position. And yeah, Winks has been kind of playing at the base, and then letting Ndidi and Jusby Hall kind of just, players like advanced eights. Yeah. So yeah, it's been really impressive. I think what has helped has been we've not had any so far, touch wood, we've not had any major injuries. We've obviously had an injury to Cody at the start of the season, which was quite a big injury actually, which at the time felt quite a big deal. But we've seemed to have coped. Vestergaard, who Matt knows very well,
very much back from the cold.
Absolutely, yeah, he stepped into that position really well. Yes, he's got flaws, as we all know. But he's done a decent...
I wish you played for us about your flaws.
Yeah, he's done a decent enough job there. So yeah, and we've been able to keep that same kind of back four for the majority of the games. So it's been nice for a change.
But attacking positions seem to be changing quite a bit. I mean, you've got centre forwards that really shouldn't be playing at this level, should they, mate?
Well, yeah, we've got a very important one that we've managed to keep hold of, haven't we? So
which one?
You know which one.
I don't know, mate, but you're a Leicester fan. You might tell me Jamie Vardy, but I presume you're alluding to Kelechi Iheanacho.
I am alluding to Kelechi. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's nice to have Vardy still around for sure, but he's not quite the force that he was, is he? So he's been coming on more in games and actually starting. And yeah, I was very, very, very pleased to have Kelechi stay, because I thought it'd be one of the first out the door, to be honest. He can definitely play higher than this level, but he seems to want to stick around, and that's really great to hear.
Is he likely to play most games now with Vardy picking up a bit part role, or can they play together? I presume not in this system.
No, it seems like he's first choice now, Iheanacho. and unless his form dips off massively, which it hasn't done, he's been really good at the start of the season, consistent. So yeah, I think it's what he does, bringing other players into it. His hold up play is very underrated. I think he's very good with his back to goal, and he can dip into 10 positions and stuff, and he's a very intelligent player. So yeah, he's first choice. And then I guess it's form dependent, really. But Vardy's, but coming off the bench at the moment.
Iheanacho should blitz this league, shouldn't he?
Yeah, you would think so. He's got all the ability in the world, hasn't he? So, but I don't think he's got a goal yet, actually. So, but he's had a few assists. He's been involved with a lot of the goals. And he's always involved when there's anything positive with us going forward. So yeah, he's such a good team player as well. He's very unselfish, but knows where the goal is. So I'm sure once he starts getting a goal or two, he'll go flying in.
And Matt, you also held on to, Iheanacho was getting massively, primarily with Palace, I think, in the final days before the window. Chadham's, we thought at one point was going to Wolves as well. Again, sort of players should do really well at this level. And obviously, Adam Armstrong, who we were really surprised that it never really worked for you in the Prem because he's done so well at Blackburn, is scoring goals again at this level.
Yes, surprise, surprise. The Championship's his level. He seems to excel. And I think we played him out of position horrendously the last few seasons. We've tried to play him out wide on the left, and it just doesn't work. He seems to really suit the number 8 role. That's where he's been thriving recently. If he's got Che just in front of him, that seems to work. Put him up top on his own, he struggles a little bit more. But yeah, I think the number 8 position is probably ideal for him.
So what are you? Are you the same? Are you 4-3-3 basically now?
Ish. I think our best formation is probably 4-2-3-1. With the likes of a Doozy. We've obviously got Ryan Fraser coming in now, with Adam just sat behind Che Adams. Ideally, then we've got a number of holding midfielders that are quite impressive talents. Shea Charles came in from City. It's good to see Smallbone back. He's playing very well, and obviously we've signed a couple of others. So it's promising. We've replaced, I think, well what we were inevitably going to lose.
Yeah, I think you've made. I was looking at about 90 million in the window. I think profit, and I think for Aaron it was about sort of 50-60. For yourselves as well. Most of that obviously comes from James Maddison. By the way, he's not bad, let me tell you. And Harvey Barnes, there's 80 million worth there. And I think for yourself, Matt, you'd obviously picked up quite a bit for Ward-Prowse, and Lavia's got to be more than that. I think the two of them together as well, isn't it? So
I think all in over the last 12 months, it's about 160 million we've made in profit.
Are you surprised just how much Lavia went for?
Yeah.
Because?
I think the whole Chelsea versus Liverpool thing drove the price up. I think Jason Wilcox has done very well this window in terms of getting the fees that we were asking for. Bids were coming in obviously for Prowse early, Lavia early. Historically, we would have just accepted them, moved on, and said, "Okay, we've got it." We weren't doing that. Lavia was effectively not in the squad for the first 4 weeks of the season. He was training but wasn't picked. And then eventually stumped up the cash for what we expected. We would have comfortably accepted 30-40 million 2-3 years ago.
It came out early, Wilcox, though, didn't he? He said, look, we've told the players, anyone who wants to go and go, but it's a valuation. And if the valuation is not met, you stay. And it was kind of on the onus then of the players to push their agents or whatever from there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite like that strategy.
Yeah, and I think Martin was obviously told that when he first came in. He's then spoken with the players. They've understood. It sounds like no one's really had an issue behind the scenes. They all tucked in or mucked up. And then you've got Prowse, obviously played the first game. Didn't look like he wanted out. He kind of knew that he was going to go eventually, but kept the armband, played well, and then got rightfully the move deserved back to the Premier League.
I think if people get told honestly, like first week back of training and stuff, like this is the valuation of you, we need it met, or you stay and you crack on, then people have got a couple of months to know where they stand, haven't they? And then it's up to them to prove themselves, etc., etc. I guess the flip is, Aaron, are you disappointed with what you got for the two big losses that you had, if you will?
What you mean money-wise?
Yeah.
Well, I think with Maddison, first of all, he wasn't going to go for too much more than that because he only had a year left on his contract. I think that was ultimately why the deal seemed a good one. I mean, obviously, I think he was always going to leave at the end of the season, regardless of whether we stayed up, I think. And maybe we could have asked for maybe a little bit more if we'd have stayed in the division. But it just seemed like the best deal for all involved. And I think it was good to kind of just get that done.
Yeah, I get that.
Move along. And, he's been great for us, but it was like, it's time to go. He needed to go, up to another level, and, we needed the money. So, Barnes was one that I thought there was an inkling that he may stay. But again, I think if he's got aspirations of like playing for England and stuff, then he had to be back in the Premier League, and I understand that as well. And he's got a good move there, hasn't he? So
aspirations of playing for Scotland is the rumor that's going around at the moment. Matt, can you enlighten us?
You wonder why, 5-5. Look like we're gonna win the Euros next year, James. It's all going well.
Yeah, quaking over here, mate. Honestly, good. Honestly, genuinely, it's nice to see Scotland doing well. Hope you lose Tuesday night though. How's my boy Winksy doing, Azza?
Yeah, he's great, mate.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, well, he's basically the centerpiece of the team because everything goes through him. He's sitting at the base of that midfield, linking the defense to the forward line, and he's just involved in everything. He's very good on the ball, ticks it over nicely. He's just the perfect player that Enzo needed in that position. And yeah, he looks great. He looks really. I think he's got a point to prove as well, isn't he? Which is always good in players that have obviously dropped down a level.
He was our best player in the Champions League final 4 years ago, mate. And he wasn't fit either, and he could only do an hour. And he was arguably our best player. And I just think, unfortunately, the three managers that followed afterwards, it's almost brainwashed him, isn't it? Because he's a forward-thinking player, despite the role that he plays. Wants to pass forward, doesn't want to be restricted, and I think he has been. And he got judged a lot more. I think he suffers with concentration defensively off the ball, but on it, good footballer who got badly restricted, and I think hampered and probably became quite disillusioned, like a lot of people at Tottenham, with what he was working with, etc. And I know a lot of the fans eventually wanted him to move on, but he always thought if he'd have got another manager in like the ones who's at Tottenham now, he might well have progressed again. And I think the best thing was a break for everyone, but he's probably absolutely loving it down at your place, feeling like he's a centre of attention and a fresh start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even before he kicked the ball, you heard him sort of when he signed for the club, how positive he was and how looking forward he was to working under Enzo and just the style of football and stuff. Honestly, it was like glowing. So that was sort of positive straight away. So he's been a real breath of fresh air that we've needed in there. He's so positive, always looking forward. Really good influence. I mean, he's obviously he's a good pro. Rarely gets injured. So yeah, he's been great.
Some at Tottenham might say different to that bit, but go on.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, I hope he stays fit for you, mate.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a massive miss if there's a problem with him, because, like I say, he's literally the hub of the whole midfield and the whole team. So very important for us.
That feels like a signing that's sort of almost above that level a little bit, I think. And it's not necessarily going to replace what you've obviously lost in the likes of Maddison and stuff, but that's a really good, astute signing, because I think he certainly could have done a job for a few Premier League clubs, actually. Matt, does it feel like you've replaced your losses as well? Tell us about Shea Charles and how good he is or isn't. He's the latest one to come to you from Manchester City.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Shea. I think as a centre-back, during pre-season we was covering, he had his moments, looked a bit iffy, but is that kind of holding midfielder. He looks very composed. I hesitate to say, Lavia kind of, it's like for like comparison, but again, for such a young man to kind of dominate that holding role so well and not really get flustered. Plus, he's got the added bonus. He really attacks the ball from corners and free kicks when it comes in. He should have scored at Sunderland when he came on. He did score during pre-season. That is obviously helpful for his game. But I think between himself and, say, Flynn Downs, Smallbone, I think we've got good young talent there that should see us through, hopefully.
Yeah, Such likes Downs.
Yeah,
Thinks he's a good player.
yeah, he looked very. He came on for Stevens, and we had to change it when Stevens got injured, and I think it was probably unexpected he had the minutes that he got. But yeah, great player. I was very impressed when we got him to come in.
Why did you buy Ross Stewart? Is it needed? Do you think
Yeah,
it was part done because they thought Adams was going?
no, we always needed one. So I think the issue for us is you've got obviously Che. I think we've realised that Adam Armstrong isn't necessarily an out-and-out forward, and I still don't rate Mara. Away from that, we haven't really got anything else. Onuachu's obviously gone out. He was never going to really get a game. And we've sent Ballard to Reading on loan because I think he needs consistent game time. So really, the only striker we've got is Che Adams. If you look at the squad in terms of the ideal man to be up top, if Che gets injured, I think we need someone up there, and Mara can't do it. So I think Ross Stewart is a very good acquisition. It just so happened to be that obviously we took him from Sunderland. We go up there and then they batter us 5-0. So
That's the way, mate. And Nathan Teller was obviously outstanding for Burnley.
Yeah, that was
last season. Didn't look like they particularly came close to signing him. I know there was interest, but
despite the Twitter campaign that had been going on for about 2.5 months of free Nathan Teller.
And so, has he gone now, Nathan Teller?
Yeah,
go to Leverkusen.
Leverkusen, yeah,
because he was starting for you, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played the first 3 games.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron, tell us about some of these new boys that you've got that people might not be familiar with. So we obviously got Vestergaard's back in at centre back now. Tell us about
Friday.
Will he play Friday, Aaron? Yeah, go on. That's since Matt asked.
Yeah, unless Cody's back fit, which I doubt it would be quite ready, I think. So yeah,
Matt,
Vestergaard will play.
Do you want Vestergaard to play on Friday?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's going to get hounded.
Okay. Are you going?
Yeah.
Will you be hounding him?
Yeah, I can't stand him.
Ain't nothing like a hound dog. I'm interested about Cesare Quesada. You might not have seen a lot of. Yeah, Aaron's obviously come on loan from Chelsea.
Yeah.
What is he?
Well, he's an attacking midfielder, but could also play as an 8 or a 6. But he's predominantly he'll be wanting to kind of like break forward and get into the box and stuff. But neat and tidy. I've only seen a little bit of him. And yeah, I don't think he's not started yet, and I think he started in the League Cup, did pretty well. So he looks like he's got something about him, and I think he'll play his part throughout the season for sure.
What can you tell me about Steffi Mafadidi? Is that correct pronunciation?
Mafadidi, yes.
Yeah, I like what you did there. Say it really quick, and no one will notice.
That's what you have to do with these names. He's come in and looked really good actually. Again, looks kind of a little bit above that level. Very tricky. Makes some odd decisions at times, but you can tell he's got ability. He's settled in quite well, and he's given us a real outlet out there. He can beat a man. He's got a lot of pace. So yeah, it looks promising from him. He's come over from Montpellier. I think he came through the ranks at, I think it was Arsenal. They let him go.
I wasn't familiar with him until he'd scored for you, and I went, right, he's going in the Gaffer team. They didn't start against Hull, and I want to know why, mate.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I think maybe he was just trying to give one of the other guys a bit of a go. But he's done nothing wrong really to be dropped. So I think he'll be back in come Friday night. It looks good. It looks a prospect. I think if I was playing Gaffer, he'd be one I'd be interested in for sure.
It was one of them young guys, Casey McAteer. Is that someone who's come through the ranks?
That's right. Yeah, young lad. He's done very well when he's played. He started the first game of the season against Coventry, and looked quite promising. I think he got a brace against Rotherham away from home, and that was probably our best performance of the season so far. So he's got a lot of ability, and I think the nice thing that we've got in the wide positions, which we've not had for the 2 or 3 seasons or so, is competition there. So when Barnes went, he was about our only winger that we had left in the squad. So we needed to bolster in those areas, and we have done. So they're two that have done very well for us so far.
I don't know anything about Yunus Akgün.
No, I can't profess to know a lot myself. He's come from Galatasaray on loan, just for a season. He was their captain, so obviously, I mean, he's relatively young. I think he's 23. So, but looks like he's got a few tricks in the
Tete
repertoire.
replacement, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have put a mannequin on the pitch and it would have done better than Tete, to be fair.
Okay, noted. That's why that didn't become permanent. Okay, cool.
No, he was very much a disappointment, and I guess we had high hopes for Tete when he first came in because he played his first game against Villa away, and we obviously won the game 4-1, and he looked electric, and we thought, oh, this is a bit of a coup that we've got this guy, and then that was it basically. I mean, even in the game against you guys at our place when we stuffed you 4-1. Yeah.
That feels like a long time ago, Aaron.
It does feel like a long time ago. Yeah, so he just never really took off, and yeah, he was stinking the place up by the time he left, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's been good.
Sitting here and speaking to you two just made me realise and dawn on me how bad last season was. Losing 4-1 at your place, 3-1 up at Matt's place, drew 3-3. Manager's thrown a wobbly afterwards, and you two both go down. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Matt.
Yes.
Really highly rated, captain of obviously the England under-21 winning team.
Yep.
Was he signed because you got Holgate in and everybody at the club went, oh, shite, Mason Holgate's not quite what I thought he was? And is there surprise? And I don't know the reason why Burnley didn't push through, but you would have assumed if Burnley wanted another year's loan, City would have let him go there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'm surprised. And I genuinely think it's come through the connection with Jason Wilcox that we've ended up getting him. And it's a loan with an obligation to buy if we get promoted for 20 million. And I think that's a very good deal.
Yeah,
for
seems
what
fair.
I believe. Yeah, I mean, he's 21. I think he's going to be an outstanding talent. He should only grow as a centre back. Like you said, he was very good for Burnley last season. And I think they were surprised that they didn't necessarily go for him. But yeah, for him to come in, we need that because I'm still not Bednarek's biggest fan. And obviously Stevens has now been made captain, but looks like he's going to be out for a little while with an injury. So we're suddenly looking a little bit short back there. So for Harwood-Bellis to come in, I think he should do pretty well. And I expect it to be probably him and Stevens when Stevens is fit.
The fullbacks offensively are great for you, aren't they,
Yeah.
Matt? I mean, look, we joked about Ryan Mann earlier, but he's sitting in the team. He's already got 2 assists this year, and Walker Peters was someone we identified that we've really surprised the Premier League club hasn't looked at because he can cover so comfortably at left and right back.
Yep. Yeah, he was probably one of the only players that there was never anything about him during the window.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Even if one of the real top clubs had wanted him as an understudy.
As a backup. Yep.
Yeah, I'm really surprised, actually. And it's great for you that you've held on to him.
Yeah.
Maybe from the player's point of view, he thinks, well, I want to play every week for Southampton, which is perfectly understandable
exactly
at the moment. I know Alcaraz isn't playing much.
Yeah. I don't know if this system necessarily suits him, which is a problem because he's a talent.
Yeah, he is.
He likes to press forward, and obviously we're very much methodical in our play at the moment, and I don't think that's playing to his strengths. But we really need to find a way of getting the best out of him because the 45 minutes he played a couple of weeks ago, he was poor, which is probably the reason why he was dropped, obviously, for the Sunderland game. And it's difficult because
the Sunderland game might get him back in, mate.
Well, I think it might, yeah. But it's tricky because if we're going with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-1-4-1, and Adam Armstrong's kind of playing is that 8, I don't know where we slot him in. You've also got, the likes of Edozie. We've got Ryan Fraser there now. I don't think Alcaraz is necessarily a winger, so it's a tough one, but it's a good problem to have. We haven't had strength and depth for a long time.
In goal against Hull, Aaron, you played Mads Hermansson in goal. The substitute goalkeeper was Jakub Storlash. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to. That does not say Starchick, but okay, thank you. I'll take your word for it. Right, where's my 4.0 keepers, mate? Where's Daniel Weaverson and Danny Ward? How many goalies you got, mate?
We've got 5 goalies. Yeah, and only 2 of them are any good.
Where's Everson and Ward? So you're telling me they shared all those duties in the Premier League now, and now they're what, 3rd, 4th choice in the Championship? Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That's beyond funny, mate.
I know. And that shows how bad it was, isn't it? Yeah. I know. So the
you
guy
absolutely would have stayed up if you bought a goalkeeper, mate.
Well, we discussed this, didn't we? It was the glaring problem we had. We could have got anybody in that would have been better. That's just how silly it is, really. But yeah, no, I mean, Manson's come in and done very well. He's a young keeper, but he's good with his feet. As most modern keepers are now. He looks a grade or 2 above what we had. And I mean, to be fair, Stolarczyk, who has come in and played one of the games when he got Manson got an early injury for the second game, he looked okay as well. I mean, he's been at the club for a few seasons now, and he looks like he's number 2. The others are just. I mean, they should have been sold in this window. I don't know why, what happened and why they're still there, but yeah, they're just playing bit parts. They're not going to be involved in the first team really, unless there's any bad injuries.
Is that a big psychological difference, having something you got faith in? Trainer sticks.
Massive. Yeah. Just the confidence. Yeah. Like I said earlier, the fact that we've been able to keep a settled back line does help that. But when you have got someone that you know that you can rely on behind you, makes all the difference. I mean, like we spoke about, Vestergaard's played every game this season. And if you'd have said that to us at the start of last season,
You're completely ostracized by Brendan Rodgers, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, rightly or wrongly, but he's clearly got his uses, and Enzo's used him, and you know what, he hasn't let us down so far. So fair credit to him for that.
When you appointed Maresca, did it feel like the club had landed on a plan, or did it feel like an agent had a word and went, this guy's been working with Pep, he's got to be good? Because I think the one thing that most neutrals felt at the end of last season wasn't sure what your plan was. Like, it never felt like there was any contingency to replace Brendan Rodgers if they came to that decision.
No, they didn't have a plan. The one thing I will say in some kind of credit towards the recruitment of the manager is they picked Maresca, but he was the biggest risk out of the candidates that were kind of in line for the job. It was very close. It looked at one point like we were going to get Scott Parker. Now, it was very underwhelming. It felt underwhelming, but it probably felt the most logical.
You'd have had to get off our slack if you'd appointed Scott Parker,
mate. Yeah, obviously from hearing about his time at Fulham and Bournemouth and stuff, it wasn't great, was it? It was going to be pretty dour, the football and stuff. So yeah, I think Maresca was a risk, but it was the most exciting appointment, and I think it was a good way of getting the fans back on side a little bit, because it's been pretty bad for the last 18 months, 2 years under Rodgers, very stale and only going in one direction. So yeah, he's come in, he's given the whole club a lift, and the vibe around the club is good. Maresca says all the right things, he's doing all the right things, and yeah, he's been a real positive influence on the club so far, and long may that continue. And I'm excited. It's early days, but I think there's a long-term plan now. I think they'll give him the time that he needs, and he'll get it fully clicking. I think we will come. Maybe it might take a few more months, but I think we'll blow some teams away in this league at some point when it all comes together.
You've got to come back up. I asked that from a financial and a sporting perspective.
I think so. I think it's very important. And I think that goes back to the fact that, they have taken a risk with this guy. It's not a guaranteed thing. Yeah, they've obviously put all their eggs in this basket and hoping it works. But I think he's been the right man to come in and just been like, right, I want you, and I want you, and you lot, you can go. And that's how it seemed. There's players there that haven't really played a minute under Maresca. The likes of Daka, he's clearly not going to be involved. Really, they were trying to ship him out on the eve of the window, and he didn't quite go through. So I think he's come in. He's given everyone a fresh slate, but he's like, right, if you're not up to it, and you don't fit what I'm doing, then I'm sorry, you can go.
No chance of Daka being involved.
Well, the fact that he's still there now, but they brought in this lad from Everton, Tom Cannon,
yeah.
Who, by all accounts, is quite highly rated. So I think that probably puts Daka even further down the pecking line, if anything. So yeah, I don't think he's really going to be involved. I think he's just going to be biding his time until the January window, and maybe someone will come in for him. But yeah, it's sad how it's not worked out for him there. But look, if it's not working, and Maresca sees them in training and sees something he doesn't like, and that's it. So it's just how it is.
Are the finances all right? Because it felt, obviously, go back sort of 12 months ago, we'd have reflected on your window and went, they've got to have their hands behind their back. They're being restricted here in some form. Is that, you almost look at it and think, surely the situation's worse with you going down. Is there any major concern with the finance at the club, or is it all okay now?
There doesn't seem to be anything in the background that's rumbling on of any real worry about that type of stuff. So for now, I think it's okay. I think the parachute payments and stuff are there, and we've obviously got rid of players that were on big contracts and stuff, and we've got some good money in for the likes of Madison and Barnes. So yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think it is important that we can try and bounce back this year. And obviously, we all know that being in the Championship, the longer you're out of the Premier League, the harder it is to get back. So we do need to make sure we really push for it this year if we can do it. So I think if that happens, then I think we'll be fine. But if we don't make it up this year, we really have to make it happen next year for sure, because after that it becomes difficult. So
it's felt like the strongest trio that's gone down together for a very long time, obviously including Leeds United in that as well. You've got Ipswich have come up from League One and made a very competitive start, and actually a fourth in the betting, currently behind the three that's come down for promotion. And you've got your usual suspects that didn't make it back up, your Watfords, your West Broms, etc., all hanging about as well. It's competitive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a strong league this year, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you could look at the three sides, including ourselves, that went down this year. That they weren't assuring to be relegated, were they? So there's teams that stayed up. With respect to the likes of Bournemouth, stuff that were probably you would think they were going to go, and then obviously turned it around really well. So we, as Leeds and Southampton, were left in a position where it just didn't happen for us last season, and it's a shame, but yeah, no, the league's competitive, so we know that no game's going to be easy. It shows that getting beat at Hull, beat by Hull, sorry, a weekend just gone. So yeah, we need to stay positive, and we're in the right spot at the moment.
But there was obviously a lot of unhappy Saints fans towards the end of last season. There was this fan meeting, wasn't there, where it kicked off quite badly and stuff. Has the mood calmed now amongst Saints fans?
Yeah, there was another fans forum a couple of weeks ago, I think, and it seemed to go a lot better. It was more, the reintegration, I think, of the fans and the board in trying to put that forward. And I think Russell Martin's done a very good job as well. He's kind of got the fans on side early on. He's been full of praise in his press conferences. He's been incredibly positive. Seems to have the players on board, which is obviously a little different to what we were used to last season with the constant changes. And I think it just makes a real big difference having someone not only positive, but sounds like they know what they're doing and they have a clear strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, I'm waving as well because I might be in a different division, but I can relate to that. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Just as a fan to have a manager that seems to understand the philosophy he wants to achieve and understand the fan base. It makes a huge difference, and the atmosphere at home has been a lot better this season. Albeit, we're seeing goals which add to games, and I've still got the same people that sit around me as season ticket holders that are questioning this possession based kind of football, but they're 60, 70 years old, so that they used to kind of long ball.
They're not the only ones, mate.
I was getting long-term season ticket holders. Wherever you go, you hear the stories of, I've been coming here for 40 years, and you've moaned for every single one of them, haven't you? I bet, mate. Yeah, you hear that all the time. That's the same everywhere. Is it pivotal for you, Matt? Again, from financial and sporting perspective, have you got to go back up?
I don't think we have to.
I'm sure if Andy Mike was sitting there, I could ask him the same question as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the squad that we have, we should be competitive, and it would be a disappointment not to at least make the playoffs. But because of the window that we've just had in kind of trying to balance the books against the mistakes that we made in the last couple of seasons, the likes of Onuachu and stuff came in on big money, decent wages. We've managed to get them out the door, albeit on loan. That's probably helped from a financial perspective, and the board are quite willing to put money in, which has been beneficial. So I don't think we have to come up in terms of financial, but I think the fans would maybe get a little bit disillusioned and a little bit on the back of the manager and the players if we weren't to at least try and get the playoffs.
You've both experienced League One.
Yeah.
There's no danger of that, is there? Surely
not. Go there again. Nah, surely not. Well,
no.
the squad's in a far better position now than it was back then.
Yeah, I was going to say it must feel, and I think most neutrals would probably agree with this, that for the teams come down now, they're obviously got heavy advantages in terms of trying to come back up because of the squad you've already got in the first place, and then the parachute payments, etc. as well, which to go back to the point as well, Aaron, in terms of leveling financial concerns, that helps, doesn't it? That probably pays for Connor Cody, Harry Winks, their salaries, etc., and one or two the others, and it probably for you, Matt, has played for Shay Charles, for example, and Ross Stewart from Sunderland, etc. How much did you pay for him? Do you know? Because I know that was undisclosed.
Ross Stewart, I think it's only about 12 million, if that.
Yeah, only that's ask a Rotherham fan,
that's
only 12 million in the Championship.
Yeah.
In fact, ask a Luton Town fan about spending 12 million on a footballer. They'd laugh you out the room. They wouldn't know what that was. It's interesting though. You are the top two in the betting. I mean, Aaron, your odds on to do it. I think most neutrals would say it was probably a surprise. I get for yourself, Matt, a little bit more of a integration in terms of huge overhaul of style from what you were doing. Whereas I think, Aaron, even some of those that are still there, like you look at people like Pereira, James Justin, even Iheanacho, Vardy, etc. And you think Dewsbury Hall, good young player. People talking about maybe getting in the England squad a year ago and stuff. Whereas it feels like yours had a bit more of a overhaul, I think, Matt, would be fair to say.
Yeah, agreed.
You had a big overhaul last season, Matt, really, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah, the wrong type of players.
He's forgetting that one, mate. I wasn't going to bring it up. In a word, Matt, do you think you'll go up?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yes.
Who's the biggest danger to that, Matt?
I mean, Leicester are obvious, but the issue is there's some real competition. Ipswich have been a big surprise. Obviously, Leeds on their day can be very competitive. It's difficult because you can lose points to teams you don't necessarily expect to. Like the Plymouth game, obviously they've only just come up. They were bloody tough to beat. We just about scraped a win there, and you're going to get.
Would that be like a derby for Plymouth, just out of interest?
In
a sort of way.
So.
I know they've got like Exeter and Torquay closer to them, but in terms of perhaps big club in the south,
it's probably the biggest club that they can play towards their end. Yeah, and that was a tricky away day, and we're going to get those. I think it's not necessarily the teams that might be the problem. It's the places that we got to go to. Tuesday, Wednesday nights, followed by Saturdays and Sundays. It's tough.
Aaron, who'd be the biggest threat to you? Don't say Southampton, be boring, mate. Like he's there. You don't need to be nice. It's fun. Southampton.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sunderland did well last year, didn't they? I feel like
they did well last weekend as well.
I wasn't going to mention that. So yeah, they seem like they've got it together again and could push. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to come across as being overly confident with it, but we shouldn't really fear anybody, really, considering like on our day and it's the team that we have. We're good enough to beat them all. It's just whether we we've got the mentality for it, and it seems like we have. So we're going to have days like we did against Hull. On another day, we get a draw out of it. So there's just it just needs to settle down a little bit, get a bit of rhythm, and we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at sort of the top 10 at the moment, there'd be a few surprise names there. I know Preston had a really good opening fixture list, but still 13 points from the first 5 is great. Birmingham have had a good start. Norwich, I think, quietly might be one really to keep an eye on with David Wagner there now. Hull have just beat yourselves, Aaron, are in 6th. Bristol City at 8th. Sunderland 9th. Plymouth 10th. And there's a lot of more familiar names you might expect to be at the top. And it is early days, a little bit lower on. This league's mad. The most consistent gets out of it. It's pretty much as simple as that, because teams will beat each other. In this league, it's not like City going to, with respect, Luton or Sheffield United. You go to a Rotherham in this league, you can come a cropper. Without a doubt, as the league's so competitive.
Yeah.
I wish you both the very best of luck. I know I get to speak to you more often next season, lads.
Nice.
Go on then, Matt. Let's do a Friday night at home to Leicester City prediction.
We're going to consider. I'm going to go Desmond Tutu. I think it'll be a good game.
Rain, expected rain.
Oh, inevitably.
And Aaron.
Well, we'll definitely score because Southampton can't keep clean sheets, can they? I think.
Oh wow, 1-0 Saints then.
Was it March? Oh, it was 1-0 against us last time in the league.
It was,
wasn't it?
yeah. It should have been.
It was that Iheanacho game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, oh my! I just got him and Maddison on wildcard, didn't I? The two of them. Bloody hell!
Yeah,
it was one of my memories of last season. Could have been more unlucky. Sometimes you go, you haven't really been unlucky there, James. No, yeah, that one really felt unlucky. Actually,
it's like 3 big chances for Iheanacho that game.
Yeah, and Maddison was 3 big chances created as well.
Yeah,
which includes, was it Harry Suter hit the bar at the end?
Yeah, from about 2 yards out. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Anyway,
not to think about fantasy. Go on, prediction.
I'll go 2-1 as just.
Good stuff. Good luck. I would like to have you both back with your replica football stadium in the Premier League. Although you're trying to build something a bit bigger, Aaron, in fairness. So
we're trying, we can't. Getting relegated is not helping that.
Who's got the better stadium?
There's not a lot in it, is there?
No, not really.
There's one major difference between the two stadiums, and that's Aaron's sausage rolls.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I told you about them. Yeah, well, you told me about them anyway. But
they're a good sausage roll.
Best in the championship. I was going to say the other one, but yeah,
I mean, best in themselves.
I think best in the Premier League now is Tottenham.
Really?
Yours is the bollocks, mate. It's best sausage roll I've had in the football stadium by miles.
Yeah, it is good.
So the King Power is better than St Mary's. Sorry, but also you get credit for the fact that you've changed yours very recently.
Yeah,
it's Walkers, isn't it, Aaron's? It's Walkers.
Well, it was, wasn't it? But yeah,
you're the only one who's changed stadium name, and people call it the new one.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah, it's stuck, the King Power, for sure.
Although, weren't you originally the Friends Providence something or other, Matt?
Yeah, it was the Friends Providence St Mary's Stadium.
But it was still St Mary's, wasn't it? As all people call it, St Mary's,
Yeah.
But all the others, like the Reeboks and the stuff, they've all just kept that, haven't they?
Britannia,
Walkers, still the Britannia. Because you won some Mickey Mouse trophy a few years ago. You get remembered as the King Power. We'll never live it down. Congrats, mate. Matt, anything you want to promote before you go?
No, I guess just the Twitter, or do you call it X now? It's CS_wipeout.
Good man. Yourself, Aaron?
Yeah, just Twitter. But I'm not on it as much as I have been in the past. But I go on there every so often. So yeah, just
you and everybody else.
Yeah.
At Aaron Lagor. Brilliant. Thanks so much, guys. Good luck for the season. I must plug the EFL Fantasy podcast. I know we've not spoke a lot of Gaffer on this, but if you do want to follow the Gaffer content, the EFL Fantasy podcast guys are absolutely the guys for you. Suj will be back with me, I think, on the Sky Fantasy Football podcast tomorrow, and we do have another Premier League clash of correspondence on Thursday, Newcastle versus Brentford, with Simon Bibby and Tom Med. Just leaves me to say thank you very much to Matt and to Aaron. Good luck, gents. Cue music, please. Man child.